from the streets of Detroit to the pinnacle of boxing history. Thomas the Hitman. Hernandez became one of the most electrifying fighters the sport has ever seen. With devastating knockouts, unmatched reach, and a fearless approach, he built a career that left fans in awe and opponents in fear. As a 6-time world champion across 5 weight classes, Hearns cemented his place as a true legend in boxing. But now, at 66 years old, Hearns' life tells a far different story. A tragic one. Beyond the glories of his career lies a tale of immense struggle, battles with health issues stemming from years of brutal wars in the ring, financial hardships, and the emotional toll of life after boxing. This is more than just the story of a fighter. It's a story of resilience, sacrifice, and the cost of greatness. Join us as we explore the incredible rise of Thomas Hearns and the heartbreaking challenges he faces today. Thomas the Hitman. Hernandez was born on October 18, 1958 in Grand Junction, Tennessee. But his true story began in Detroit, Michigan, raised in a tough, blue-collar city. Hearns' upbringing shaped his grit and determination. He was the youngest of 3 children in a single-parent household, with his mother Lois working tirelessly to provide for her family. Detroit, a city known for its automotive industry and rich boxing history, became an integral part of Hearns' identity. At just 10 years old, Hearns found his way into the legendary Kronk Gym, an old, run-down facility in Detroit's West Side. There, he met Emanuel Stewart, a former amateur boxer who would go on to become one of the greatest trainers in boxing history. Stewart immediately saw something special in the lanky, soft-spoken kid at 6 foot 2 inches. With an impressive 78-inch reach, Hearns had a frame unlike any other welterweight. Though he was tall and wiry, his incredible speed and raw power made him a standout from the start. Stewart not only became Hearns' coach, but also his mentor and father figure, guiding him both in and out of the ring. Under Stewart's guidance, Hearns began to develop his craft. The Kronk Gym became a proving ground not just for Hearns, but for countless fighters who passed through its doors. The gym, which was notorious for its brutal sparring sessions, was a melting pot of young talent, and Hearns thrived in the competitive environment. His devastating jab and thunderous right hand earned him a reputation as one of the hardest punchers in the gym, even as an amateur. Hearns' amateur career was nothing short of impressive fighting in the Detroit Golden Gloves tournaments. He quickly became known as a rising star in the local boxing scene. His long reach, technical ability, and ferocious power made him a dangerous opponent. He racked up an amateur record of 155 wins and only 8 losses, showcasing his potential to dominate in the professional ranks, though he missed out on an Olympic opportunity. Hernandez had already set his sights on the pros, where his style was perfectly suited. When Hearns turned professional in 1977, he wasted no time making an impact under the tutelage of Stewart Hearns, quickly adapted to the pro style and unleashed his full potential. He made his professional debut on November 25, 1977, winning by knockout in the second round. This was just the beginning of what would become a meteoric rise over the next 2 years. Hearns destroyed every opponent in his path, winning his first 23 fights by knockout. His brutal punching power, combined with his lean build and precise technique, earned him the nickname the Hitman in Detroit. Hearns became a local hero. The city, still reeling from economic struggles and social unrest, embraced him as one of their own for Detroiters. Hearns symbolized hope and resilience, A fighter who represented the city's fighting spirit fans packed venues to watch him fight, cheering on their hometown kid as he worked his way toward the world stage. Hearns' early victories were not just dominant, they were electrifying. He was knocking out opponents in spectacular fashion often. Before the end of the third round, his jab was sharp and relentless, setting up his signature right hand, which landed with devastating force. Hearns didn't just beat his opponents, he overwhelmed them. By 1980, Hearns had become a household name anymore. He was a force to be reckoned with. His rise to fame had been swift, but the foundation for his legendary career was built during these early years. Hearns' beginnings rooted in the hard streets of Detroit, and the sweat-soaked floors of Kronk Gym laid the groundwork for one of the most exciting and celebrated careers in boxing history, from a skinny kid with potential to a knockout artist with national attention. Hearns had already cemented his place as one of Detroit's greatest sons. His journey, however, was only just beginning. By 1980, Thomas the Hitman Hernandez had established himself as one of the most exciting and dangerous fighters in the world. Detroit's Kronk Gym, under the leadership of the legendary trainer Emanuel Stewart, had groomed Hernandez into a prodigy. It was time for Hernandez to make his mark on the global stage, and his opportunity came in August of 1980 against the reigning WBA welterweight champion Pepino Cuevas. Cuevas was a ferocious champion, known for his iron chin and brutal punching power. He had held the title for 4 years and successfully defended it 11 times, making him a significant challenge for the 21-year-old Hearns. The fight took place at the Joe Louis Arena in Detroit, adding extra weight for the hometown hero. What unfolded was a one-sided demolition. Hearns used his superior reach and technical skills to keep Cuevas at bay, systematically breaking him down in the second round. Hearns unleashed a thunderous right hand that knocked Cuevas out cold. The victory made Hearns the WBA welterweight champion and cemented his reputation as a lethal puncher. Now a world champion, Hearns found himself at the center of boxing's most electrifying era, the Four Kings era, alongside Sugar Ray Leonard, Marvin Hagler, and Roberto Durán. Hearns would participate in some of the greatest fights in the sport's history. In 1981, Hearns faced Sugar Ray Leonard in one of the most highly anticipated fights of the decade. Both fighters were in their prime, and the bout was billed as a clash of contrasting styles. Leonard's slick footwork and speed against Hearns' devastating power. The fight lived up to the hype, starting as a tactical chess match, but quickly transforming into an all-out war. Hernandez used his jab and reach to dominate the early rounds, even wobbling Leonard with powerful right hands by the middle rounds. Leonard adjusted, closing the distance and landing body shots that began to sap Hearns' energy, trailing on the scorecards late in the fight. Leonard mounted a furious comeback in the 13th round, battering Hearns against the ropes until the referee stopped the fight. It was a crushing defeat for Hernandez, who had been ahead on all 3 judges' scorecards before. The stoppage determined to bounce back. Hearns moved up to the super welterweight division and began rebuilding his career. In 1984, he faced the legendary Roberto Durán, who had never been knocked out in his career. Many expected a competitive bout, but Hearns delivered one of the most iconic performances in boxing history. In just 2 rounds, he obliterated Durán with a series of vicious punches, knocking him down twice before finishing him with a brutal right hand. Durán lay motionless on the canvas, and the victory solidified Hearns' place as one of the most feared punchers of all time. Hearns' most famous fight. however, came in 1985 against Marvin Hagler for the undisputed middleweight championship dubbed the War. The fight is widely considered one of the greatest bouts in boxing history. From the opening bell, the two fighters engaged in a ferocious slugfest, with both men landing devastating blows. Hearns broke his right hand in the first round, but continued to trade punches with the granite-chinned Hagler. The fight lasted just 3 rounds, with Hagler ultimately stopping Hearns in dramatic fashion. Though he lost, Hearns' performance further cemented his reputation as a fearless warrior, willing to take on the best. Burns continued to make history. In the years that followed, he became the first fighter in boxing history to win world titles in 5 weight divisions, capturing belts at welterweight, super welterweight, middleweight, super middleweight, and light heavyweight. His accomplished him synonymous with excitement, earning a reputation as one of the most electrifying fighters in boxing history. Whether it was the thrilling battles against the 4 kings, the legacy of Thomas Hearns during this period is defined not just by his victories, but also by his willingness to test himself against the best he fought, in an era where champions sought out the toughest challenges, and his career remains a shining example of courage, determination, and an unrelenting desire to be great. Thomas the Hitman Hernandez built his legacy as one of the most exciting and fearless fighters in boxing history, but the price he paid for his greatness was immense, known for his electrifying knockouts and willingness to fight the best. Hearns endured a level of punishment that left lasting scars on his body and mind. One of the most infamous examples of the physical toll Hearns endured came during his 1985 war with Marvin Hagler. In what has been dubbed the War, Hearns broke his right hand in the first round, severely limiting his ability to use his most devastating weapon. Despite the injury, Hearns continued to exchange punches with one of the toughest fighters in history, engaging in one of the most brutal 3-round fights ever witnessed. Ultimately, Hagler stopped Hearns in the 3rd round, but the damage was already done. The broken hand would continue to plague Hearns throughout his career, forcing him to adjust his fighting style and making each subsequent fight more physically taxing. Hernandez's battles with Sugar Ray Leonard also left their mark in their legendary 1981 showdown. Hernandez suffered a TKO loss in the 14th round after taking a relentless barrage of punches in the final rounds. Though Hearns displayed incredible heart and endurance, the punishment he absorbed in those late rounds took a heavy toll on his body when the two faced off in a rematch in 1989. Hearns put Leonard down twice, but had to settle for a controversial draw. The frustration of the decision, combined with the physical strain of facing such elite competition, added to the burdens Hearns carried throughout his career. The cumulative effect of these wars has been visible in Hearns's later years. Like many fighters who spent decades taking punches to the head, Hearns has shown signs of neurological decline, possibly linked to chronic traumatic encephalopathy. CTE fans have noticed slurred speech and memory issues during his public appearances, raising concerns about the long-term effects his brutal career. While Hearns has not openly addressed these issues in detail, they are a painful reminder of the sacrifices boxers make for their craft. Adding to the tragedy of Hearns' post-career life is the fact that despite his groundbreaking accomplishments, he has often been overlooked in discussions of boxing's greatest fighters. While his contemporaries, fighters like Sugar Ray Leonard, Marvin Hagler, and Roberto Durán, were celebrated in the mainstream, Hearns never received the same level of recognition. This disparity was partly due to his quiet and humble nature outside the ring. Unlike Leonard or Muhammad Ali, Hearns wasn't a showman. He let his fists do the talking, and while fans admired his ferocity in the ring, his reserved personality kept him from becoming a larger-than-life cultural icon. This lack of mainstream recognition has been a source of frustration for Hearns, particularly when compared to the attention lavished on some of his rivals, despite being the first boxer to win world titles in 5 different weight classes, a feat that was unprecedented at the time. Hernandez has often been relegated to the background in historical discussions of the Four Kings era. Thomas the Hitman. Hernandez, once one of boxing's most electrifying figures, now lives a life far removed from the glory of his prime. At 66 years old, Hearns faces the harsh realities of a career defined by grueling battles in the ring and a lifetime of sacrifices for his craft. While he was one of the most successful fighters of his era, the years following his retirement have been marked by financial instability, health issues, and a quieter, more isolated existence. Hearns earned millions during his illustrious boxing career, headlining some of the biggest fights of his time, and becoming the first fighter to win world titles in 5 different weight classes. However, like many athletes who reach such financial heights, Hearns struggled to maintain his wealth. After leaving the sport, reports have surfaced over the years about his financial difficulties, with much of his money being spent on an extravagant lifestyle, poor investments, and supporting a large entourage, while Hearns has avoided complete financial ruin. Unlike peers such as Evander Holyfield or Mike Tyson, there have been troubling signs of instability. In 2010, it was reported that Hearns faced significant tax debts, leading to the sale of some of his prized possessions, including his home, though he managed to pay off his debts. The situation highlighted how fleeting financial security can be for even the greatest of athletes. In recent years, Hernandez has been seen participating in smaller events, signing autographs, and appearing at boxing conventions, likely to make ends meet, while these events allow fans to celebrate his legacy. They also underline the financial pressures that have followed him into retirement. The once iconic Hitman now finds himself relying on these smaller opportunities to stay afloat. The toll of Hearns' legendary career has extended far beyond his finances. Years of punishing fights, including brutal wars with Marvin Hagler, Sugar Ray Leonard, and others, have left Hearns with ongoing health issues. Fans have long expressed concern about his slurred speech and slowed movements during public appearances, signs that are often associated with neurological damage from repeated head trauma, chronic traumatic encephalopathy, CTE, a degenerative brain condition caused by repeated blows to the head, is suspected to affect many retired boxers, and Hearns' symptoms align with this condition. Although Hearns has not publicly confirmed a diagnosis, his struggles with memory and speech are unmistakable reminders of the brutal nature of his profession. Interviews with Hearns today often reveal a man whose vibrant personality and sharp wit have been dulled by decades of punishment in the ring. His physical health has also raised concerns. In 2021, Hearns was briefly hospitalized, sparking rumors about the severity of his condition. False reports circulated, claiming that his health had rapidly deteriorated due to complications from a vaccine. But Hearns' family later clarified that he had been treated for dehydration. The incident highlighted both the fragility of his health and the public's enduring concern for the aging legend in his prime, Hearns was surrounded by an adoring fan base, a strong Team LED by the late Emanuel Stewart, and the support of the Detroit community that embraced him as a hometown hero. However, Hearns' life today is far more isolated. The physical and emotional toll of his career combined with the natural passage of time has left him removed from the spotlight he once commanded so effortlessly. Hernandez still occasionally appears at boxing events, often greeted warmly by fans who remember his incredible achievements. But these appearances are few and far between, and when he's not on stage, Hearns leads a much quieter existence. His humble demeanor, which endeared him to fans during his career, now underscores the contrast between the vibrant athlete he once was and the man he is today. Hearns' hospitalization in 2021 became a lightning rod for public concern, with many fans fearing the worst, although the situation was ultimately resolved, and Hearns recovered it, painted a sobering picture of how fragile the lives of retired boxers can be. The incident also brought renewed attention to the need for better post-career support systems for fighters, who often lack the resources to address long-term health and financial issues. This episode served as a stark reminder that Hearns, like so many other boxing greats, is not immune to the struggles that plague athletes after their careers are over, despite the immense joy and inspiration he brought to fans around the world. His later years have been filled with challenges that often go unnoticed by the public. Thomas Hearns' life today is a testament to the double-edged sword of greatness. While his achievements in the ring remain unparalleled, they came at an extraordinary cost. Financial struggles, lingering health issues, and a quieter, more isolated existence have replaced the roaring crowds and championship belts for fans. The tragedy lies in being a man who gave everything to his sport. Struggle with the consequences of that sacrifice, though his current circumstances are far from the glory days of his prime. Burns continues to carry himself with dignity and humility. His story is a reminder of the human cost behind the legends we celebrate, and it underscores the need for greater awareness and support for retired athletes. At 66 years old, Thomas Hearns remains a revered figure in boxing, but his struggles are a sobering reflection of a life spent in pursuit of greatness.